Hey, welcome back. I missed you. Here's a fun one. Nothing quite says modern America like getting a lecture on patriotism from a millionaire TV investor who treats basic criticism like it's a hostile foreign attack. When your response to people asking reasonable questions is basically, well, maybe China did it, you're not making a strong argument. You're just telling everybody your brain hit the emergency exit. Today, we need to talk about Kevin O'Leary and why this whole thing is unbelievably stupid. Why somebody really needs to tell Mr. Wonderful to give his balls a tug. Now, I want to start with the 400 million pound gorilla in the room. The thing that's been spoken about ad nauseum at this point. Don't make me a source of credible information on it, as I'm just reading it as it's progressing. The 40,000 acre data center he wants to build in Box Elder County, Utah. There's already been plenty of videos made about it. You can go watch the Tucker Carlson interview. Moist Critical's made a few good videos on it already, and there's plenty of good narrative media and articles out there about it. I found one by The Hill that I thought was pretty interesting. It's two people talking about it with a few clips of the Tucker Carlson interview. More so about the people speaking about it than the actual content itself, but we'll get into it.
Tucker Carlson and Kevin O'Leary had a heated debate on Carlson's show over artificial intelligence. Carlson asked O'Leary about the risk of surveillance associated with AI.
And Kevin O'Leary said it's either agree with him or support China. Let's take a listen.
And I'm telling you, what you should do is say, I want Kevin O'Leary to succeed. I want him to beat the Chinese in compute power. And then use the laws of the United States to make sure that you keep that compute power in check whichever way you want. But to not have it available, to put down my shovel, I don't think people want me to do that.
Well, let's be clear here, Kevin. It seems like everybody who lives in the area that pays taxes and has a stake in that claim doesn't want you to build the data center. Put down the shovel and leave it alone, dog.
Yeah, I agree entirely with Kevin O'Leary here. I would have said the exact same thing, frankly. And I like them both. I admire both people in different ways. They're definitely going to be at cross purposes on this one. I'm sure Tucker shares a lot of the concerns I'm now seeing from people on the right and left. It's mostly a left thing, but some people on the right have got on board to the, no more data centers, all this data center phobia. I'm not with this at all. We got to build them, Lindsay. I don't know what you want me to say. They're getting built.
Yeah,
not just for the beating China part, but
I just want you to be honest.
This dude is a living, breathing twat with legs. Aside from the way he sounds, his opinions on this suck, and I don't necessarily think they're his opinions. I think it's just regurgitating everything else that's like pushing right-wing media. That's not to say left-wing media isn't the same, right? They all have their talking point. And I feel bad for this poor lady, because you can tell she's trying to get a thought out, being as neutral as she can. Her uncomfortability is palpable. I can taste it in the air.
You argued about data centers creating all these electrician jobs.
yeah.
Yes,
Great.
the temporary electrician jobs for the one foreman that makes 260 grand. That was your argument. And I remember it because I got so annoyed when you said the average person's going to make about 50 grand. And that's like a 6-month job to put the electrical wiring up. And then what do you do for the rest of the year? So you make 25 grand for the average person and look around for other jobs. And then you tried to argue that they're young so they can go out there and use their sprucey energy and go find another job. Some electricians are old. Okay, there's not all young electricians. So the 10,000 jobs that are going to be created, most of which will be temporary, on the backs of the people that it's costing money to be there. So when people's energy bills rise because of these data centers,
That's false.
we
That is
haven't heard
misinformation.
No, it can.
There's
You proved me wrong, so now I'm going to say it's misinformation. I have no data to pull from. I don't have any reason to say that. You're making sense. I agree with you, but since we're on TV and I have to be a cock, I'm just going to say it's misinformation. Moving on.
no evidence.
Because we haven't seen it happen yet, but we're saying that as you build bigger and bigger ones,
They pay for the energy.
yeah, they're being regulated to do so.
Well, of course.
So that's what part of the problem is. There needs to be regulation.
When you
are
use more
crying
electricity
every time
in the
there's some-
month, you get a higher electric bill. They'll pay whatever they use. We're all for. I'm not saying they should loot the rest of us. They have
But
to
they're
pay
also
whatever
getting-
they use.
They're also getting huge incentives to come to the area by certain local governments, and so therefore, if some
Depends
of
on
that,
what it is, but I probably oppose most of those. We don't need to.
but they are though. So both things are existing. They're getting huge.
So he agrees they should be built. They shouldn't give a shit about what the taxpayers think, but he doesn't agree with the incentives that are being given by the local government. Just to be clear, to my knowledge, about these incentives that come, is that when a large business comes in somewhere, rural communities, whatever, and they claim that they are going to bring this many jobs. Let's say it's a Walmart. You got to staff the whole Walmart. You're going to have to maintain it. You're going to need people to run it and build it, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody in that locale is going to get employed and make some money on it from the top down. The government says, okay, we want you here. We need you to come and invest and put that Walmart here. So we're going to give you some kind of incentives, whether that be a credit per how many people stay employed for X amount of time, whether that be property tax incentives like real and personal property tax. Maybe they won't make them pay a certain percentage of it. In this instance, I know for a fact I read an article that showed that one of the incentives they're giving on this massive data center is 100% on the personal property and 80% on the real property tax. So they're really only going to have to pay 20% of real property tax for up to 30 years. Now, as far as bringing jobs to the area, back to that point, this isn't a Walmart. This is a data center. It's going to be built, and they're going to have 150 people that staff it, and then maybe some people locally that come and maintain it whenever they have to call a plumber, an electrician, or something. But it's not going to be continuous jobs for the area. So again, she's right, and he's deflecting by saying it's misinformation.
Incentives to come there. People are losing jobs because AI is coming into their town. Some people are gaining temporary jobs, and it's on the back of the local people.
Do you know how many jobs?
And then the water usage is a real thing.
How many jobs? It's not. How many jobs in this country do you not need to?
Data center water usage is a real thing. It's not. Please hold. EESI, Environmental Energy Study Institute. Data center developers are increasingly tapping into freshwater resources to quench the thirst of data centers. Large data centers can consume up to 5 million gallons per day. That is equivalent to the water of a town populated by 10,000 to 50,000 people. It's not. Fucking twat.
Ever send an email?
What?
You know your inbox when they give you that little, you're almost out of space? It's data centers, Lindsay. We won't be able to do any of the things we do without more data. I don't know what, it's important. Like, we have to have them.
Yes.
We can't run the modern.
So your mailbox for your Yahoo email, super duper important. Water usage, it's not.
Infrastructure of our country without them. This is like if we said we have enough grocery stores. No more grocery stores. We have too many. What if they're going to take jobs from the mom and pop places? No more grocery stores.
I'm at a complete fucking loss with this dude. It's like he makes a point and then he doesn't realize that he's making a point against his own argument. We don't need too many grocery stores. What if they take jobs away from mom and pops? Yes, that is a legitimate issue. Let's say you live in a small town and there is one mom and pop. When Walmart comes in, people aren't shopping at the mom and pop because they have to charge a little bit more and their selection's a little bit lower. Whereas large big box grocery store, they don't have to charge as much. They're able to undercut local businesses. They employ more people and the selection is massive. So yeah, no, that's bad. That is bad, you fucking douche. You wispy-haired twat.
No more fire trucks. No more ambulances. No, we just have to have them. It's part of what makes the country work.
Okay,
we're gonna have them.
Look,
we're gonna build them.
All right.
I don't want to hear about the water. They use less water. I was looking at the statistic today. They use less water than golf courses in America. So if you think there's a finite amount of water and we have to ration and we have to pick, we're gonna have the.
Let's fact check. What did we say? Large data centers can consume up to 5 million gallons per day. TWL irrigation. Hopefully they're a source of fact here. Depending on the location of the golf course and climate, an 18-hole course can use on average 2.8 billion gallons of water per day. Let's go back. 2.8 billion and 5 million. So yeah, golf courses suck ass. I'll agree with you there, guy.
Data centers instead of the golf courses. And I love golf. I don't actually think we have to have one or the other. But if you're the one fretting about, oh no, we're about to run out of water on this planet that's 70% freaking water, then the golf courses are not going to get water and the data centers are, because we need them, Lindsay.
I'm telling you,
need them.
We need them.
It's Luddite attitude.
You're saying we need them. We have to have them. Well, guess what? We also have to have regulation. I want to play another side. Carlson accused O'Leary of not getting citizen approval for a data center he's building in Utah. Let's watch.
They asked us to come. They asked us to bring $15 billion. They asked and they voted, and it was a 3-0 vote. That's
right,
how it got done. There's no other way to do
Google
it.
And Kevin O'Leary got 3 county commissioners in rural Utah on their side. Good work. But can I just ask you really quick, like, why don't you have a referendum? Why don't you let all citizens, all taxpayers, the ones who are paying for your project, why don't they get to pay or vote?
Thank you. The people need to want it there.
How are they paying for the project?
Because the government is giving huge tax incentives for these data centers to come. Who pays the taxes?
So you have no problem with it if there's no taxes. I have to look at specifically what the details of this are. I don't think there should be any tax, but they have to pay less. What are we talking about? What does that mean? I don't know. I'm not for them paying less or being given money or anything. And no, and in fact, they should compensate for the land that they're using. What I gather is that they are leasing this land from the federal government, and
So he's not a complete piece of shit.
they're getting a at below market rate to do that. I would not do that, sure, but isn't that kind of a side issue here? The point is we need to have them.
Would you give the people a voice though, who
I spoke too soon.
may or may not want that in their town? I mean, does it matter to you what the people of Utah want? I mean, that's what Tucker Carlson is asking. I think that the people matter. The same people who said they were overlooked for the last few elections, the same people that rallied up the base of MAGA that felt overlooked. Like, don't you want to ask those same people if they want a data center in their town? Build it somewhere else then if they don't want it. Somebody might want it in their town. Maybe Californians want it in their town. Maybe Floridians who are bringing all the tech companies there want it in their town. If you want to
I agree with her point. Yeah, put them all in Florida. Why not?
build, like add a garage onto your house, or rent your attic to another person, or put a solar panel on your roof because you want to do your energy costs. Do I think the entire town gets a veto over that?
You know what?
No.
Yeah, I live in an HOA community, the home I own in Colorado.
I frankly
so-
find that
If I go and I decide that I want to dig out a wine cellar in my backyard, or I want to make a structure, there's municipal ordinances and city code, I have to reach out to the elected officials and I have to get permission to then build on my own property. So no, there isn't some special, well, since we're here, we can do what the fuck we want because we're not a business.
that's socialist and I oppose
But
it.
I'm just telling you, that's what I do live in. And so I can't just build up 20 stories because guess what? We have to follow the community rules. So the town has to want me to do a lot of things. Like, I can't rent out my home on a daily basis. It has to be over a year or more.
Do I have permission to build something ends up being a society that doesn't build anything? That's what I would guess.
Well, Tucker Carlson.
And I've seen these people, these community hearings, when they're ranting and raving about data centers, and they have superstitious and imaginary problems with them that
Until
they're causing
they become
too many
real.
ghosts.
No,
There's
stop.
too much this is fear of the future.
So Tucker Carlson's asking real questions, and no one's giving answers to those.
I don't like him, and I have no reason to like him. He's got a smug face, a stupid tie. I wear glasses, but his glasses make him look fucking dorky, and his hair's stupid. Moving on.
Like, as far as surveillance, what comes up with all this AI? Like, he's asking
But
real
Kevin O'Leary
questions.
agrees we should regulate those things, and I do too.
But you're agreeing with that, but we're not seeing it happen in a timely fashion with the speed that AI data centers are going up and AI is growing. And that's been the problem. And we talk about how elderly Congress is and how slow they're moving with their understanding the industry as a whole. So obviously that's problematic, but we are moving way too slow with the regulation if the industry is going to move this fast. That's the problem.
The watches they have to monitor their heart rate to keep these elderly people okay. It's all sending data back to a storage facility somewhere, and we need those things because where everybody's living forever and these people aren't giving up power, we got to keep them alive for some reason. They're going to need the data too. Even though
But
I'm failing to understand the point he was trying to make here. She was saying that Congress and lawmakers are elderly, right? They're not understanding the speed at which artificial intelligence and data centers are progressing, which is a fair point. If I put both Joe Biden and Donald Trump in a goddamn room and said, hey, give me a breakdown of what AI is and why they're necessary for AI. I could give them both an ice cream and a good TV show, and it would be a second thought. I get it. I see where she's at. On his end, he's saying, well, we need the data centers, keeping them alive for some reason. He doesn't know. So what were you getting at? I don't know. I don't even think you know, dude. Why are you there?
who will get it done? The people. The people of Utah, the people who vote. The people will vote new people in, and so that's why we need to listen to them, and that's Tucker Carlson's whole argument. Don't do it without the people's voice involved. Data centers, AI, everything.
If the people says no one should have a refrigerator, I'm going to say, well, that's sod. This is the equivalent of
people are not going to say no.
Well, that's what they're saying.
I like how polite she's being in light of how fucking stupid this guy is. She's doing a great job handling him.
That does it for us on Rising Live. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way today. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
That was it. And I'm glad. But I'm unnecessarily bothered by the fact that he was the one to do the outro. Like, he got the last word on the whole thing. She deserves the whole show. You know what? Maybe he will be the future of a video. Maybe you will be the topic. Red tie, stupid glasses, wispy hair, douchebag. I look forward to seeing you again. Now, to comment on the entirety of it, specifically the Kevin O'Leary data center part, it's funny to me how anti-American it is for taxpayers to not have a say in what's going to affect their communities the most. Kevin O'Leary and the rest of the investors all probably live either overseas, have multiple homes, and kind of jump back and forth. They're not going to be stuck in Elder Springs, Utah, where the water becomes disgusting, the air becomes arid, and they have to listen to data centers. No, they're going to go take the private jet, check in on it once every 2 to 3 years, get some phone calls, then fly back to LA, Canada, New York, whatever, and live in their high-rise apartments or massive mansions, not having to worry about the shit that's affecting the regular people. And back to Kevin O'Leary, I want to show you a fun little article. Kevin O'Leary, also known as Mr. Wonderful, took to social media Saturday morning to blame Alliance for a Better Utah for pushing back against the development of data centers in the state, claiming the organization is Chinese-funded and incentivized to slow down American infrastructure. Why is there suddenly such an aggressive push against American data centers and AI infrastructure? O'Leary posted on X. That figures. After seeing a major spike in coordinated opposition campaigns around our Utah projects, we conducted a digital audit and traced a large amount of activity back to an organization called Alliance for a Better Utah, which has been pushing misinformation through Box Elder County about our data center developments. O'Leary continued to claim that he found IRS Form 990 filings in the audit, which he traced to a network of Chinese money through an organization called Arabella. What's even more concerning is where the funding appears to originate, he posted. After reviewing IRS Form 990 filings and tracing the network behind it, the money appears to be Chinese-linked funding channels connected through an organization called Arabella. Think about the incentive. If China is racing to dominate AI and compute capacity, why wouldn't they want to slow American infrastructure down? This is Alliance for a Better Utah's response. Now, before we jump into their response, this is Alliance for a Better Utah. Now, I'm not from Utah. I have no ties to the area. I don't know shit about it. Alliance for a Better Utah, according to their website, is an affiliate of Progress Now, a national progressive advocacy organization. Progress Now works with state partners to promote progressive ideas and causes through earned media strategies and cutting-edge new media. Our mission: to drive a public narrative that empowers Utah's electorate and holds public officials accountable. A better Utah where everyone can live happy, healthy, and productive lives, where public officials act with integrity, transparency, and for the common good, where informed and engaged Utahns seek progressive change through the political process. This is a weird fucking word. Utahns? Utahns. I don't know. I don't know what this should be called. Utonians? Moving on. Now for their response. The only foreign interest in this data center is Kevin from Canada, which I agree with. It's insulting to Utahns, there it is again, across the state to say that any opposition or protest to the data center is the work of foreign government. We are proud to live in a state where there are people who deeply care about transparency, their community, and their kids' futures. It's not strange to us that Utahns want to feel heard in decisions that will impact their lives for decades to come. Holding your government accountable to ensure they look out for your best interests is not the work of a foreign infiltration. It's upholding the principles America was founded upon. And it's emblematic of the principles on which Alliance for a Better Utah was founded in Utah 15 years ago. The issues with the deeply unpopular and problematic project in Box Elder County remain. This is not the first time we've dealt with bullies like Kevin trying to intimidate us into silence. No amount of propaganda and dramatic distractions will stop us from talking about the real issue: a lack of transparency from our government. Which, I mean, that checks all boxes here. They want to keep people accountable. They don't necessarily like what's going on, and they're asking them why they're not being heard. Why is Kevin O'Leary allowed to do this without a referendum or consulting the taxpayers? Utahns deserve answers and input into the data center, a goal in which Kevin says he agrees. So perhaps he should put less time into reading publicly available documents, as though that's deep research, and focus a bit more on answering the public's questions. Now, I'm no expert on foreign entities and psyops, but this just doesn't sound like one to me. I would imagine that if there is a county or a municipality out there that is looking for a data center, they want some kind of financial or economic input that they're not getting from external sources. They'd probably be happy with this. These folks just aren't, and the rich guy's winning at this point, and that's frustrating. He's having his cake and he's eating it too. To tie it back to Kevin O'Leary being Canadian, look, I am more than happy when people come to the United States and live their American dream. The land of opportunity is a land of opportunity for a reason. Fingers crossed it stays that way for the rest of the time. The problem I have with Kevin O'Leary saying this, yeah, he's a Canadian citizen. He was born there. I love our neighbors to the Great White North. I'm a huge fan of the Calgary Flames, second to the Dallas Stars. But being a citizen of Canada, having citizenship in Ireland, sure. Being a citizen of the Emirates, fine. No interest in being a United States citizen, but claiming other people are foreign agents, it's a little bit backwards, don't you think? Kevin O'Leary is not a citizen of the United States, and from what I understand, has no interest being so. It's interesting to me that somebody that makes a fuck ton of money from our wonderful Constitution and the capitalist democracy that we've built, but doesn't want to put the stars and stripes on his resume. With that being said, don't accuse United States citizens of being foreign agents when the non-citizen is coming and encroaching on their land, telling them that they need this here and he knows better than them. Now, to tie a bow on the whole data center thing, Kevin O'Leary's whole pitch reeks of opportunistic flag waving when local residents raise legitimate concerns about infrastructure strain, environmental impact, and whether a massive data center actually benefits their community. His response isn't to address those concerns, and it won't be. I have no doubt that he's not going to say anything of value for the community. It's to slap an un-American label on anyone who disagrees and start tossing around paranoid nonsense about foreign influence. That's not leadership or serious business analysis. That's lazy fear mongering. It's just dressed up as patriotism. The real play is obvious. Wrap private profit motives in red, white, and blue packaging, scream about beating China, and hope nobody notices the conversation quietly shifted away from whether the project is actually good for the people who have to live with it. With no due respect whatsoever, Kevin. If your argument depends on accusing critics of treason instead of answering their questions, then your argument is fucking garbage. Big fuck you, Kevin O'Leary, for thinking people are dumb enough to confuse investor self-interest with national duty. This isn't World War II. This isn't Pearl Harbor. You're building a fucking data center in Utah, dog. We can see your YouTube channel. We know what you're about. We can see Shark Tank. The internet is alive and well. You want more data centers? We're going to know more about you, and we know what you're about. With that being said, enough on the data center. Let me show you Kevin O'Leary's website and his YouTube channel so we can get a sneak peek into his life and what he's about. Now, if it's not obvious, he really likes himself. There's a few of those things you don't necessarily need on there, Kevin. We get it. Every rich guy is a sommelier. Every rich guy is a collector. Whatever marketing or PR guy you had, Kevin, I need you to go to them immediately and fire them. How somebody can look you in the face at 70 years old and say, look, man, no hats. Wear your biggest, gaudiest chain. Put on a good watch. Not only one good watch, but a second good watch. We want one on each fucking wrist. We gotta sell that you're a chef and a sommelier in the same picture. Glass of wine in one hand, hold it by the stem. Pot sticker in the other hand, held by chopsticks. But we want to make sure that they know you love both of them, so we're gonna pretend you're eating and drinking at the same fucking time. If you're an investor, this was a bad fucking investment. Oh no, that's actually a good photo. I just don't like that. Let's look at his YouTube channel. Watches, data center, crypto, watches, 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 dog shit, watches, 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 QVC drops, watches, watches. Now, I've only watched a handful of his videos. One of them stood out to me in particular. It has nothing to do with the data centers. I just want to show you this, and then we'll quit talking about Kevin O'Leary. The title of this video should tell you everything you need to know. Kevin O'Leary says, don't ever buy a car.
You're thinking about buying a car. Let me give you a new idea. Don't. There's so many shared ride services today, even when you have to leave the city. You can rent one. Cars cost a fortune in maintenance and insurance and just the amortization, which means as they go down in value, you're losing money. Let's say I paid $25,000 for it. 2 years later, it might...
To speak at the beginning, it sounds on the surface like it makes sense. Yeah, there's ride shares out there. That's cool. Also, amortization. You're gonna lose money on it. The moment you leave the lot, what is it, 25%? And over the course of 3 years, it's like 40%. I have never bought a new vehicle. Carfax exists now, right? Just as though ride shares exist. Go on there, look at the Carfax, look at the maintenance history, and see if it's worth the buy. $1,000 per year. That's a solid investment for a vehicle. If you need something just to burn back and forth to work. Now, there are some people out there, obviously, that can afford to buy new vehicles. If that's something that you're into, go ahead and do it. Don't listen to a fucking dipshit like this that doesn't want you to have any assets.
might be worth only 12. I hate cars. When my lease came up just a year ago on a Mercedes diesel, a beautiful SUV that was 2 years old and I'd hardly ever driven because I used so many shared ride services, the dealer called me up and said, Kevin, your lease is coming up. I've got a brand new car you're going to love. I said, I'm going to pass. I'm going to drive this puppy back to you and wave goodbye to it. And now, I don't own it anymore. I use my phone to call Uber or Lyft, and they take me around the city. I save a fortune. I feel good about it. I hate cars. Even if you use a car every day to get to work, it's still cheaper to use a shared ride service because you can choose the level of luxury you want. You can share the ride with somebody else. I know people that go miles for only $8. They're taking advantage of a system that's actually democratizing the cost of transportation. Why aren't you? The whole idea is pay off your debts by not buying stuff you don't need. You don't need a car. You're working in a city where you can either take the subway or basically use a shared service. Try both. But
to shit on another point he made, There's lots of people that live in cities. But I had never been on or seen a passenger train up until I moved out of the continental United States. I lived in Texas my whole life, and there was not one time where there was a subway available for me to take. Now, ride sharing, sure, it exists, but now this is a little bit hard to see, but this is a map from the United States Census Bureau on urban areas of the United States and Puerto Rico. 80% of the U.S. population makes up urban areas, whereas the remaining 20% makes up rural areas. We'll use Texas as an example. It's a fucking massive state. We'll use South Texas as a fantastic example. There's only a couple urban areas in South Texas, Corpus Christi area being one, and San Antonio being the other. There's a massive group of people that make up this giant white area here. And I can guarantee you that there is no rideshare service that will take you from Pleasanton, Texas to Three Rivers, Texas. Rideshares aren't realistic for farmers, not realistic for ranchers. That's not something that exists. You can't move your cattle by calling a fucking rideshare and saying, hey, I need you to take me to Stockyard this month.
Don't get stuck parking $25,000 into a car. I don't need it. Why should you?
He doesn't need it. Why should I? Because I don't have access to a private jet, and I can't call a ride share every time I need to take my kids to school. Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary is basically the human embodiment of a LinkedIn post to learn how to smirk. Here's what makes the whole thing so absurd. This guy is who built his brand on being the cartoon rich guy, hard ass dude on Shark Tank. He acts like every entrepreneur personally keyed his Ferrari, even though he doesn't own one, because their margins are 2% lower than he likes. His entire shtick is polished. I'm the only adult in the room because I worship spreadsheets routine. Fine. Annoying, but fine. Then he pivots into this bizarre detached billionaire advice cycle where he tells normal people they should just ride share instead of owning vehicles. That kind of advice only sounds smart if your daily commute is a walk downstairs and to yell at CNBC through the studio camera. It is absolutely the modern cadence for the elite bubble brain nonsense that's going on. The kind of logic that only makes sense when your concept of transportation is my assistant arranged it, and then somehow this same guy decides he's going to lecture Americans about patriotism and constitutional values. You're a guy born in Canada, holding multiple citizenships, who has spent years monetizing American media, American markets, and American outrage cycles. And now you want to cosplay as Uncle Sam's because the data center project might pad investor returns? That's rich as fuck. Literally. The Constitution isn't a prop, Kevin. You can't wave it around when local citizens disagree with land use project. It's actually the thing protecting the rights to tell you to pound fucking sand and walk back to Canada. For a guy who claims to love American capitalism so much, he seems deeply offended by one of its most basic features. People being allowed to say, no thanks, this deal sucks for us, fuck you. I don't know if people forgot, but the basis of America and what we were built on was punk rock as fuck. It was a giant fuck you to everybody. The whole act feels like if a hotel minibar gained sentience and started doing cable news patriotism. Kevin O'Leary is a professional contrarian. His entire public persona is built on acting like smugness is wisdom. And as somebody who's not a Canadian, but really enjoys Canada, give your balls a tug, Kevin. You can't spend your life being internationally portable and then pop up acting like the hall monitor of American values because somebody in Utah doesn't want your giant money furnace next door. So again, fuck you, Kevin O'Leary. That's all I got.